What up, everybody? It's Nate, Tom, and Ian with another Elden Ring stream. Sorry of the lateness here. I meant to get started a little earlier, but life happens. But hey, guys, what's going on?
Not much. I'm doing
Yeah.
good. I'm awesome. The
So
weekend is
good.
coming. We're over the
That's
hump.
true.
I'm gonna make it.
It's almost a Friday. Once again.
Hallelujah. Yes.
Heard chef.
I am enriching my life with. I decided. You know what? I need some retail therapy. I just decided I'm gonna enrich my life with camera gear. For
Hell
the
yeah,
moment.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now's the
treat
time to do it.
yourself.
That's what I'm doing because, fuck it.
Life is
Because
short.
it's 4 degrees. We're buried under a fucking
Oh,
glacier.
we're like rocking 40s right now. It's
Are
great.
you guys have snow right now?
First-
Shit.
We
Oh,
have,
yes, I
yeah.
do.
This was actually today was the very first day above freezing for like the last month and a half, which normally I love. That's fantastic. But the problem was it rained right before it froze, and then it froze, and then it snowed, and then it rained, and it froze again, and it like happened
Oh,
6
yeah,
times in a
shit.
row. And so now everything is literally covered in ice, and the groundwater is
No way.
frozen, and can't use my backyard, and can't use my front yard, and can't really go hiking because it's all buried under literal like sheets of ice. So it's been like I'm like literally trapped. I'm iced in, man.
Oh
So
boy.
Oof.
yeah,
That's rough.
so I'm excited for that to go away. I hope it still stays cool though. I want the cool weather. I just need to get out from under the ice. That's the problem. Get out from under the ice.
Oof, I don't miss that. We're on kind of like I'm not sure how temporary of a reprieve, but we're in like cruising in above freezing temperatures right now, and sometimes it's even popping into the 50s and 40s sometimes.
Damn,
So
that's
it,
really weird. You guys
yeah,
are like
actually.
in the fucking
Oh,
Great North.
yeah, we're in like this weird bubble right now. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's welcome right now because it was cruising in the negative teens for the last couple of weeks.
It's the conjunction of the planets that's happening right now. It's causing
It must
everything
be.
wacky.
Yeah.
All right, don't need you. Don't need you. I do.
Hey, we
need-
got Consort Radahn today.
right. Hopefully, it's the last fucking time
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotta try this. But
How you feeling?
I'm optimistic. I did do a couple of practice runs. Granted, not in the last few days, but like Friday, Saturday.
The real question
Sunday.
is, have you corrupted your training with another game? Like, have
No.
you?
It's
Okay.
all Elden Ring all the time right now. Probably
Because that's
a little too
usually
much.
what fucks you up,
Yeah.
right? Like you get used to the buttons on something else or the timing on
Yeah.
something else, and then now
Yeah.
you're all fucked up.
No, it's all Elden Ring all the time right now, baby.
Are you? So it looks like you're still sticking with the kung fu.
I'm
role.
kind of stubborn. I kind of want to do this way. I'm sure
Alright.
it's probably a lot easier to use another weapon. In fact, I guarantee you it is.
Is that a
'cause-
seal in your left hand? What the fuck is
Yeah,
that?
that's a seal. That's the dry leaf seal. It's part of the it's
Oh,
part
I
of
don't
the
think
Kung
I
Fu
ever-
set.
I don't think I ever
Oh.
got that. Fuck.
Really? You should
I
have
don't
gotten it
think
when you
so.
beat him. You probably
Oh, I
have
must
it.
have it then. Because I
Yeah.
don't know. I pick my
Yeah.
weapin and I stick with that. I don't like shop around
Yeah.
for weapons.
It's,
So I probably do have it.
Its scaling, its faith scaling is pretty good. In fact, it's pretty damn good right now. It's a little bit better than what I was using before. I was using Dragon Communion before.
Yeah,
which
Dragon
is-
Communion, to me, if you're not building into Arcane, you're better off
Yeah.
using the straight up faith seals, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I just did it because it wasn't like a physical thing I was holding. I was like, oh, cool, I just have the spell hand. That's fun.
Yeah.
Because if I ever did like a sorcery build, I don't really want to use the staffs or the wands or anything. I kind of like
Really?
the idea of just conjuring shit up with my hand and my brain.
Interesting. All right. So you're not a classical wizard type guy.
No, I like the hand magic. I like the
you want
gesture
you want
magic,
to
the
you want to
somatic
be
components. You know?
Palpatine.
Yeah. If I given a choice, yeah, I'd rather
Yeah.
it makes me rely on an item that I could very easily lose.
Is that why you like the hand-to-hand fighting in this? You want
Yeah.
want to be like just
Yeah.
you want to be Ryu. You want to be just naked man with a fist.
Who doesn't want to be Ryu?
Yeah, I mean, I
That does seem to be the theme.
I identify with Ryu, man. The whole discipline thing. I'm
Mhm.
down with that. Like, that's
Yeah,
my
you
speed.
very much are one of the most disciplined people I've ever personally
that's-
known.
I'm boring as fuck. Disciplined. That's like my whole fucking life. But that said, I dig the like rock and roll style of Ken. You know what I mean? Just like
Yep.
chaos and just 100% rush down. That's my favorite way to play.
Somebody was streaming an episode of the cartoon a couple months ago.
Which cartoon?
On Twitch. The Street Fighter cartoon?
Oh, like the USA? Like where like Ryu and Ken are fucking... Movie?
Yeah, I think it was like Ryu goes to America to visit Ken, and they're like hanging out, and they go to like a bar, even though they're like
that's Street Fighter
high school age.
That's Street Fighter 2 V.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Was there more than one cartoon?
Yeah, there's a couple different cartoons. There's the classic animated motion picture, which has like Chun-Li versus Vega, like
that's the fucking best.
Sorry, I got excited and got distracted. But there's the the 1998, 94, I forget what year it came out, but that's like the quintessential Street Fighter 2 prime arc time.
The greatest Dragon Punch, the greatest Shoryuken in the
seriously
film.
But then you have Street Fighter Alpha the movie, which is very anime. And then there's a couple of like OVAs that are associated with like Street Fighter 4 and maybe 5 now. But those are like add-ons, they're not their own standalone thing. And then there's Street Fighter 2 V, which is like an alternate timeline, and it's like pre Street Fighter Alpha Ken and Ryu, where they're like freshly graduated. I think their master is dead, but they don't know how to do the Hadouken or the the Shoryuken, or I don't think they even do a Tatsu. It's like their journey to discovering how to do those things and like what key manipulation is. It's actually mostly pretty cool. The ending is a little slow. Like the last 5 episodes.
I'm always curious to see characterizations of Ken Masters.
Yeah.
Because like on paper, he could be a real douche. like you would think if he's not developed very carefully, he could be real douchey. But he could also be like kind of Bruce Wayne-y as well, like if you do it right, which would be kind of neat.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on like how you want to write him. Do you guys of course remember the Jean-Claude Van Damme live action Street Fighter?
Yeah, that's like the one live action,
the greatest portrayal of Street Fighter ever.
Right.
Oh,
right.
And
that's the one that has. That's the one that has the video game.
I was going to say
the fighting game of the movie of the game.
Street Fighter, the movie, the game. That's what it's called.
The movie.
God, what a weird concept.
And then there was also a syndicated cartoon that was super pro-America because Guile was the main character. And Ken and Ryu were like treasure hunters. Like it was kind of modeled off the live action, but it was. I always remember watching it on the USA station, like the old cable commercial station.
Yeah,
you guys remember that one? Like with like American Gladiator and all that other shit.
Man. Yeah, man.
So and that one is it's like it's the team is called Team Street Fighter, and they're like a special task force group for the American military, even though they're from all over.
Fighter.
Yeah. But yeah, that was another.
I just love Street Fighter the movie, the game, because it's like it's a
unnecessary level of meta
made from a movie that's made from a game, and it's like a complete bastardization perversion of the video game. And the weird thing is the way it looks, they use the same tech as Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, they did the not the rotoscope, but it was something very similar.
Like live action animated, like it's an animation of live action. It's like really fucking weird, and it's bad.
Yeah,
it's
not
super
great.
bad, but it's very funny. It's hysterical. So go ahead if you guys want to laugh out there in the internet land. Go Google.
That's worth one ironic watch.
Yeah, it's great. It's hysterical. Well, same effect, frankly, of the Street Fighter live action movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
The video game really captures the vibe of the movie.
And there's also the Chun-Li movie, which is also not great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, whatever. I was totally out of there.
Have there been any build changes since the last fight?
I switched to cold, if you haven't noticed.
We doing frost.
I don't know what that effect was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, he's afflicted with it, so it must be actually
it does look like it
off.
Yeah. Very true. He's got that like cold breath coming up. It's that same effect from the Irithyll Straight Sword from Dark Souls 3.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You think he wears that cape specifically so that you get stuck under it?
Right? I wonder how heavy that thing is.
It's got to be like heavier than you. It's huge.
Yeah. All right. So we're back to phase 2.
Oh, we're rushing in. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Got a couple of kicks in before he starts.
Before he does this. or the big AoE.
Yeah, spot dodge. Yes, sir. Good job. Dodge those sonic booms. Punch him in the butt. Good job. Chopper donkey kicks. Wow, good dodges. These are slip dodges, baby. Now we're talking.
Ian, I'm starting to think that there is a bell curve per stream almost.
Okay.
I wonder if we're in the
you
early
can watch
phases.
it in real time. If you watch all 3 of these back to back, you can watch me suck, get better, and then get shit again.
He's definitely he's ramping up because I think this is the first time he made it to second phase.
So full transparency here, guys. It's like I said, I was kind of practicing a little bit. Like, we streamed last Wednesday, so I probably practiced a little bit every day except for like Sunday till now. At least on Radahn. I've been playing consistently, like just doing like the base game. But there was 1 or 2 times in phase 2 where I was like, I think I could beat him right now. I'm just not going to because I want to do it for the stream.
So, chat, Nate cheats by getting better off stream. He's like, that's how he cheats.
I find the best way to get good at the game is to play it anyway.
And have no one watching him while he does it.
Yeah, because then
doesn't like your eyes on him. Don't look at him. Don't look at him.
Then I can claim anything. Like, I could be totally full of shit, and you can just.
I mean, look, you said you beat that sunflower dude a second time on like first try. Which, look, man, Pixar didn't happen. You know what I mean? So I don't know what else to say about that. That was a jumping kick.
Yep.
Ooh. That was like Double Dragon style. Anybody remember the Double Dragon 2, I think?
I love Double Dragon. I love Double Dragon and Battletoads. You guys
ever
ever
played
the
every time was
Yeah, that was.
I didn't, but I remember the crossover games with Battletoads. Yeah. Wasn't there a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one with Battletoads?
Turtles in Time, and then I don't know. Well, that's not Battletoads, but that's a.
No, yeah, I'm thinking of like the
essential.
Battletoads.
Turtles in Time was the holy grail video game for me. It was the one that was always in the arcade that I wished like hell I could play at home, but never could.
That one,
run on the NES.
The Simpsons side scroller beat 'em up, and the X-Men one. What's it called?
Yeah.
The not Marvelous.
There's
X-Men,
Children of the Atom. There's I think Children of the Atom might have been the first like X-Men game. But obviously there was Marvel vs. Capcom. The Marvel vs. Capcom games were just like god tier. Like the artwork still to this day, Marvel vs. Capcom is, I think, potentially unbeaten ever.
They're still running Evo every year too.
Yeah. I mean, I would never play those games in real life because like the guys that play that are fucking animals.
Skill ceiling in that game is
it's
fucking
insane.
ridiculous.
It's
damn it!
I would be far too terrified to ever like get in a lobby with those.
I like watching it in the same way of like it's kind of like Major League Baseball. It's like I don't
exactly the skill level.
I like watching it.
At this point, you're born into it or you don't belong. Yeah.
I mean, these guys have been playing basically since 1994. You know what I mean? Like they are insane. They're preposterously good. Yeah, Tom, it's like just watching someone who's just absolute masters of their trade. Like, it's really impressive to watch. It's kind of like games on quick, right? You're watching somebody and they kind of like make it look
complete
easy.
Flow state. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of the funny thing about games on quick is that like I'm always amazed that they just kind of like leisurely talk their way through it.
Oh yeah.
Like for me, it would be so stressful, first of all, but also I would need to focus like hell. I would not be talking.
I could never do that. I think it's just the sheer amount of times they have to run it as like practice. They run. Practicing is literally just doing it over and over and over again since you're playing the whole game.
They can probably do it with their eyes closed, right? Which some of them do, I guess.
Yeah, or with a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or with a Dance Dance Revolution pad.
Also good.
It was the saxophone guy this year was good during the Elden Ring boss rush. I really liked the guy that beat. I think my favorite weird run this year was a guy that beat the entire new Super Mario Brothers Wii, playing the game with his feet and his head with motion controls while playing the score to the entire game with his hands on a digital piano.
Like what is this? Like who is watching this and thinks to themselves, I can do them one better, and then they come up with something like what's the wackiest thing they can think of?
I love watching that stuff, like the weird runs and the co-op, like the run, the races and stuff. The races for like Metroid are fucking awesome. I love watching the races for that kind of stuff.
Damn it! I was trying to dodge away.
Best one though is
there's no real dodging. You
Peanut
have to
Butter,
dodge
the
through it.
speedrunning
Okay.
dog, beating Ken Griffey Jr. for the.
Oh my
Super
god!
Nintendo.
Yes. What a great game.
Yeah.
That's fucking
Dude.
great.
I can't. I that's probably between that and I think 1994 Madden, the two games that I probably rented more than any other game ever.
Oh
That
yeah.
you didn't already own. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I never actually owned Griffey, which is amazing because, like, obviously he's my all-time greatest hero.
Yeah.
I never owned that game, but I never. Back in those days, I never bought video games because it was too fucking expensive. I never had money to do that.
Renting was great. Renting.
Yeah, it was
how I played
always
those games.
renting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blockbuster
man.
rentals, man.
Going out, knowing that it was going to snow that night, and knowing there's going to be a snow day the next day, and going out and getting
Calling that
Madden
bluff. Talk
or
about the
Griffey.
ultimate gamble.
Yeah.
Yes, or Top Gear 3000 or something like that, and like you're going to be playing that all day the next day, especially if that snow day was like a Friday. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Snow Day on a Friday was the move.
Just nothing better. Just the greatest thing that there ever was. I say that, but like I'm sure that only happened to me like 3 times in life. You know.
But that's the thing, bro.
Like-
Right? It's like I thought about that too. I was like, I probably didn't have that many actual snow days as a kid.
Definitely not.
At least not that many where I planned it. Like snow days as a kid was always kind of like I couldn't even tell you what day of the week most snow days were on when I was a kid, but I remember them being
always
like
felt
it didn't
like
even
it was on
matter.
the weekend, but I'm sure it wasn't.
Right. Yeah. I remember there was one week when I was in high school. I think we had like the entire week off because some pipes broke at the school, and it was like right around the time like the 360 was out and like Burnout Paradise had just come out. So I was like that and like rented 2 games, and I was like, well, that's my vacation. That's my week.
We had a whole week off. I think it was '94, and I think we were actually staying at your house because my mom was like on a business trip to London.
My mom was talking about the story recently, actually.
Damn it, God.
And we had this huge ice
fucked up
storm,
with
and we ended up getting off school for the entire week. It was fantastic.
I remember that weekend. That was like the coolest surprise ever. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Sam and Ian are visiting. Oh, they're staying. Oh, we get to get like
Just
stay after
hanging out
school?
for a week.
That was
Yeah.
like the triple compounding
Fucking cool,
ultimate like snowy weekend.
That was a gift from God.
Yeah.
That was a good weekend. All right.
Got to take the PEDs. Got to get prepped. Here we go.
Gotta get prepped. Gotta get psyched.
For some reason that made me think of the Simpsons episode where Bart has to like study for some sort of like test or something.
Oh yeah.
There's like a
and then
snow day and he has to sacrifice
that's
his
early.
snow day. to
That's
study.
early on.
Yeah.
Like season 1 or 2.
And like with like the very end, he just like recites everything he needed to know after he fails.
Here's a question. You can answer this from any like angle that you like. When was the last time you watched The Simpsons regularly? Like, do you want to do it like by like what age you were, or what season you stopped watching it? Like, at what point did you kind of like jump off The Simpsons?
I probably have to do it by age. There was a point in time where like most weekends, I think we were going to either like our grandma's or someone's place, and my dad would go with us, and they would end up watching sports, and of course like it was on Fox, so we would just end up watching whatever came after, and usually it was King of the Hill. Like I remember watching new King of the Hill in like season 5 or 6, I want to say.
Which is very funny to me because Nate is Bobby.
Right, yeah.
So
He's
not
Bobby
Bobby. What are you talking about?
I think the last time I remember watching it even like semi-regularly was probably around that era. I don't remember. Most of the Simpsons I watched as a kid was the DVDs that we had.
Yeah.
Like
I think it was
the early seasons too.
I think it was definitely late '90s, early 2000s when
I'm so fucking dead.
stopped. I think after that point, it was like, I don't know. I don't know that I watched a lot of television at all in those era. Like I was in college at that point. You know?
Yeah. It's probably I would say like,
it makes me kind of want to go back and see what I missed. Like, is there stuff that's really good that like did it continue to be good in the years that I sort of like stopped watching? I wonder.
I think at that specific era, I'd
God,
be curious. I know like a couple in the last couple of years they've been kind of like it's kind of milquetoast at this point.
Right, exactly. I'm pretty sure that like the last
I'm
4
gonna switch
years
that
have
up.
not been top tier, but I'm guessing like early 2000s, like up until about 2008, 2009 was probably still pretty good.
I would hope so. Yeah, I think I remember watching an episode like in like the mid 2010s, and it seemed like it was fine. Like the animation had kind of like gotten better, but you could definitely tell that it was like the that like South Park joke of The Simpsons did it. Like you could tell they were trying to like come up with more unique storylines, but you're fishing for something that doesn't really exist yet.
Here's another question: when was the last time either of you guys watched the first season of The Simpsons?
I would say relatively recently.
Weird art first season of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I think
Or
for me it
everyone
would
was
have
still
been
sort of a rational human being. Yeah.
like a little over 4 years ago. I think during 2020, I was trying to watch like all, if not most, of the Treehouse of Horror episodes for Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah, I
remember
typically will
starting
watch
season
them.
1.
Yeah, I do that every year for Halloween. Typically.
Yeah.
Me too.
I rewatched the 3D Homer one from like the year 2000.
Oh, that's
or
a
whatever.
great one. Yeah.
That's such a. I remember as a kid, I was always kind of like weirded out by them. Like I liked them, but it was always kind of like.
It's still
you know,
weird. Although
yeah.
they did it, I think, in the Simpsons movie too. Do you guys remember when that came out? What a big deal it was.
Oh my god, I do remember.
Spider
that,
Pig was my favorite fucking joke of all time.
7 or 8.
That was like such a big deal. I remember there were things like that came out and that I. Like you look at like their IMDb score, they ended up not being like super well reviewed. But I remember culturally they were just
they were phenomenon at the time. Yeah.
Like Beavis and Butthead Do America. Remember that movie?
Oh, geez.
I remember. Was it you or Sam that had a poster for that?
It was probably Sam. I'm sure it was Sam.
There's the one. All the old stuff I usually watch now comes from the same Twitch account. Some guy in San Francisco who just happens to stream old content, and he was playing.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Mostly plays like MTV2.
Oh, I forgot I even
like,
had Bloodhound stuff.
Under 20 minutes now. But
MTV2.
He was,
holy shit.
Yeah, early MTV2. Because when I was a kid, I thought it was like a brand new thing when like the big boom of like cable got really big, like DVR and iControl and shit. I didn't realize MTV2 was that old, but he was playing Beavis and Butthead episodes and like, being able to watch it as an adult, whereas as a kid I couldn't really watch it. I kind of understand why it was so appealing. Like at the time, that must have been fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
nothing better than being able to watch a show you shouldn't be watching right now.
I mean, that's what MTV was, though, man. Like, up until MTV was kind of sick up until they started Total Request Live.
Yeah.
Like the TRL era was kind of like when I jumped off the MTV train.
The TRL for me,
that point was kind of amazing.
It was still, even when it was becoming more of like the reality TV versus the music, it was still an important, like especially in 2005. For me, it was a really important way to like discover a lot of music that wasn't like a
definitely
buying a CD. But it definitely, I could tell that I was like, oh, this is mostly just teenage culture TV, but they do still make time for the music. And even like knowing it back then, I was like, okay, that's fair. Yeah. But all it took was like Rob Dyrdek and ridiculousness to just fucking decimate that thing in the earth.
Yeah, like MTV was amazing when it really was genuinely music focused.
Oh yeah.
Like my favorite show on MTV was Pop Up Video, that and VH1.
Pop Up Video was great. I remember watching that.
When Abby and I were in Portugal, we were watching VH1, and all the hotels we ever stayed at, or all the Airbnbs we ever stayed at, always seemed to have it. But it was always like the countdown of this year or that decade or whatever. And we would take turns, like whenever the new music video came on, we would take turns, giving each other shit. Mostly her to me about, you didn't know this song? You don't know this song?
Well, she's such a '90s music kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
her
she's an Alanis fan, so I can.
Vastly superior to my own.
I mean, look. Alanis Morissette is god tier.
I mean, for sure. Jagged Little Pill.
I have come to. I used to despise her music, but I have come to understand why she is so culturally important, and I think that's. I think aging has helped that a lot. With her music specifically, but I remember
Alanis Morissette.
The one thing someone was talking about, like watching that said stream and watching a lot of old MTV, like even just like the commercials and like the bumps in between the shows. You could tell they were still trying to hold on to it when they were going into the 2000s. Like there were people that worked there who were from the Kurt Loder era who were like, I might not agree with the new shit, but I do need to try to make this still work. And then,
it sort of had the same kind of trajectory that G4 had.
Yes.
Yeah, I miss G4 sometimes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see that, like, the attempt to bring it back, I guess, a few years ago during that era?
Not great.
It wasn't. It was really not.
So again, same stream was putting on. We were watching an old, like maybe it was like one of the first Game Awards, like the Keeley's Game Awards from like a decade ago, And in contrast, he played like the 2005 or 6 like Spike TV Game Awards, and woof, boy fucking howdy, was
Come a
that
long way. Come a long way.
misogyny is putting it mildly. That shit is
I mean, that's what, that's all video game culture, man. Like that's what
right. It was, and I remember at the time, it thought like, oh, like I didn't really care about like the girls part. I was just like, oh, they're talking about video games on cable TV. That's incredibly.
That was revolutionary in of itself for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of really good stuff on G4. Even some of the more reality-ish stuff.
Fucking shit.
Wasn't bad. Like what
I
was
gotta
it?
use the Bloodhound more.
Their version of Cribs was kind of cool because they would show their video game collections. Asheron, what was it? There was a bunch of weird stuff. The cheat code one was cool. There was like one that was like an MMO fictional thing.
Yeah, well, that was back in the day when video games were still like counterculture and like
yeah.
I would say
that was still under the radar. It was kind of like not culturally acceptable.
There was enough money there that they were doing like some truly like cool, innovative stuff, but it wasn't enough money that it became, today's AAA like.
Yeah, it was still a little more punk rock, a little more indie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The other stuff aside, like it was still really. I think it was probably some of the more entertaining stuff on TV.
Yeah,
at the
I
time,
still
anyway.
hum some of the bumpers. There's one guy doing like an acapella like beatbox, while some dude's like kind of lazily breakdancing. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I think I remember this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched a couple of those. Attack of the Show was one that I think was a Tech TV thing that they brought over to G4, but I remember that was like, people loved Attack of the Show.
That was the one, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the big one.
Or X-Play.
Yeah.
Yeah, X-Play.
Well, I mean, Attack of the Show was big because of Olivia Munn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was just like, male gaze happening on that show all the time, basically.
Yeah, it was definitely like a very big platform for that kind of stuff. It was cool when they actually did intersperse like some of like the talking about games was cool.
They did, and that was the thing. They had that MTV vibe where it was still everything they did still had the video game theme.
Yes,
it wasn't like MTV kind of lost that once they started doing Total
damn it.
Request Live and Road Rules and that kind of shit. Like once they transitioned away from music, it was like, I guess this is where I get off, Like, cause Attack of the Show, again, it looks like it was a variety show, but it was still video game themed. Like, they still had segments in there that were all about video games.
Right, at the very least, they had, there was discussion happening, and that was kind of cool. Like, even if I was like not like Attack of the Show never interested me as a kid because I wanted to watch like was it Cinematech that had like just intros for other games, which I think is also side note a large reason as to why I like to watch just weird stuff about games I'll never play on YouTube now.
The
Is
B-rolls,
Cinematech.
the idols,
different era for sure.
Felt different
I mean, it was like that was still nascent internet era, right? It was still cable television. It was pre-YouTube. It was, that was pre like E-Bombs world and shit. Like there was a whole cultural revolution that happened at that point where it shifted onto the internet and away from basic cable.
I think part of it is also like when you don't really have a choice over the programming of the content, it does kind of force you to step outside of like
I got stuck in the wall.
Zone.
Yeah, I mean, it was
really,
like,
oh man,
it's
I
what everyone did after school, right?
I hit the worst place on the fucking wall, man.
You got environment. You got screwed by the environment again. Stuck on geometry, baby.
Yeah, I don't have any sense of like where I am in the big circle. And when who does that, I'm just like, I'm gonna pick a direction.
That's an existential thing to say.
I just don't know where I am in life, man.
Where am I in the big circle? It's the circle of life.
Yeah.
Isn't that what is that? Was that the? What was it in Land Before Time? Was it the Great Circle? The Great. What was it?
There's a tree. I remember the tree leaf thing.
Yeah,
the tree star.
Tree star.
Was it Great Migration or something like that?
Oh, that might have been it.
Well, there's the Great Migration, which is where they're going to the Great Valley.
The Great Valley.
That was where they're going.
I was trying to remember. I was like, it's not Ice Age. Ice Age has like a thing.
Valley.
Maybe that's the migration.
Dude, should I watch Land Before Time again?
Dude, Don Bluth peaked.
It's a good movie. Like I'm not like you guys. It's a fucking great movie. That's true.
Yeah.
But
I've thought about those in a long
first
time
one's
either.
like the only non-musical. God, okay. I wasn't sure how far that was gonna go.
I remember what the main dinosaur dude's mouth was really square. It was like a cube.
Littlefoot? Yeah.
Do you remember the finger puppets that they had that in I think it was like these little rubber toy versions of each one of those from Happy Meals? The Happy Meal toys.
Oh
I think
yeah,
we talked about like what was our favorite like era
yeah. We did that a couple
series
months
of
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Happy
I have a
Meals.
definitive answer for that one.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was a series very early in the '90s of the Looney Tunes
yeah. That was good.
That's right.
characters, and
Yeah,
there was one
yeah.
that was the best one ever was Bugs Bunny. And if anybody ever watches Looney Tunes, they might know that like Bugs Bunny had alter egos, like he had a
Yeah.
Superman alter ego.
Yeah.
The Happy Meal toy for Bugs Bunny was Superman, and he had like a Superman suit that would clip onto him. It was
Oh
like
yeah.
one of my all-time favorite toys, and I lost it at some point when I was a kid. Saddest moment of my life. So sad. I wish I could like find a replacement for it. Like,
I mean, there's
such great
collectors out there
memories.
now. I'm sure there's a whole
I bet you it's like
database.
$8,000.
I mean, well, yeah, depending. There, I know, like, I think the most expensive stuff seems to be like the very beginning, like McDonald's
First Happy
toys.
Meal.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Man, when was the last time you had a Happy Meal?
Can't remember last time I had
Intentionally.
McDonald's.
Like 20 years, 30 years?
It must have been like on a trip or something, and we just got a
Probably.
bunch. The last time I had one as a kid was probably 2004, maybe.
That's like one of those questions. Think really hard about this. When was the last time you ran full speed?
I know, right?
Like absolute as hard as you possibly could. When was the last time?
Would have been at the gym last year, probably.
Really? As hard as you possibly could? Because I
Um,
run a lot. Like I play basketball a lot. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
I actually run full speed a lot because I have a basketball court on my property, and that makes me sound like a rich dude. It's not like that.
on my, on my estate.
On my property, yeah, my estate. No, we have a like I play basketball. We have a little place where we have a little basketball court, and but it's like right up against like a ravine. So if you miss and the ball is like looking like it's gonna go down the ravine, you are booking it after that ball because you know you're gonna pay the price, like trying to rummage it out of the fucking woods. So I guess like when I think about it, I actually do run top speed in very short bursts a lot because, that imperative of not letting it go down the ravine.
Yeah.
Before that though, probably a long time because I would run and do like, for fitness, but like it would never be like absolute
I
top
go the other
speed.
way, and I can't dodge those rocks for some fucking reason. I'm trying to run away from the rocks to like. I know he has a definitive length that he can do.
Oh, that's what you're running now.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you running from them, or we need to check?
No,
are you running from them or dodging them?
I figured out that when he does his after image, there is a definitive length of which he can do it from. His last one will find you however far away you are, but the first 5 that he does have a range.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah,
but you gotta dodge the rocks if you want to get set up for it properly. And I can't. I keep fucking up the rocks.
Gotta dodge the rocks, baby.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that question, though, Ian. About you mean like when you run full speed as a kid, it's different than running full speed like as an adult.
Because I remember as a kid, like every day, there's a moment where you've run full speed.
I remember the moment for me was recess. As soon as we were let out for recess,
100%,
we would line up. But like even the teachers knew we were like, all right, we're not going to stop you little shits from.
Yeah, you would run full speed just to get out the door.
Right. I remember running out, not having a plan. Like I remember sometimes other kids and I would be like, "Do you want to do this at recess?" And sometimes I'd just be like, "I'm just running. I don't even know what the fuck I'm gonna do for the next 30 minutes."
Don't even know where I'm going. Just running full speed. Because I'm thinking about that. Because I think as an adult, running full speed means something is happening.
Yeah.
Like that's intentional. Whereas as a kid, it's like 4 times a day at some point.
Right.
Like you will be running top speed. You will run top speed in the house.
Happy as a kid.
Although I also realize this, if I tried to run full speed in my house, I would be. That's like 3 steps.
You would have at least 2 to 3 animals following you wherever you were going.
That's 100% true. I didn't consider that. Yeah, someone would be under my feet and would trip me and kill me. That's for sure. And they would get all cranked up. But also, I realized that if I were to run full speed as an adult, from one end of the room to the other, that's like 2.5 steps. 3 steps.
I also think it's a different physical ask than it is for kids. I forget the engineering principle, but it's it's things are limited by a certain amount of mass, like it can support its own weight, and I'm sure it's not like the major ratio shift, but it has to be that
I'm sure it is.
It's actually a bigger ask for your body to run at full speed at at your full
It's like
size than it was.
it's like you
Gravity
are.
too. Yeah.
It's like as a
That's why,
grown
like,
man, you have way more upper body strength, but it's also way harder to do a pull up because you're so much heavier.
yeah,
You know?
and then
Like there's
also
something
like
about that ratio that changes.
yeah, or like when you fall, like kids can fall like fucking
Yes.
all day and not care.
Correct. Yes. It's also like weather and temperature. Like you notice it way more as an adult than you ever did as a kid.
Oh God,
Like,
yeah.
You never had to wear a jacket as a kid because you just never noticed that it was cold
Yeah, 'cause
outside.
you
Never
had-
wanted to.
You
Now
were
it's the
a
opposite.
furnace to begin with.
Yeah.
Your,
Feel that
your
every
metabolism
winter.
was constantly going at full tilt every day. You could eat whatever you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Nate, mom, I think it was actually maybe like a month or two ago, reminded me of the another thing I would never be able to do now was the staircase we had going down to the basement.
Yeah, or you
Oh, when we were
take the
kids.
quick way down.
You
Oh,
would
that's right. Yeah, because
sneak down
Ian.
it
Yeah. Yeah. You saw me do this? I think at some point, right?
all the time. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
the amazing thing about it was not watching you do it. It was the sound.
The sound from underneath was
just
terrifying.
Rattle the house. It was like it was terrifying. Because effectively, what it was, you were falling down the stairs, but you were falling
With
style.
style. Which is exactly.
This
It's
isn't flying. It's falling
It was
with
falling
style.
with style. You were Buzz Lightyearing down the stairs. Yeah.
For anyone watching in chat, the staircase that would go from our living room down to our basement. I guess a good way to describe the staircase that went from our like main floor to our basement floor. It was a staircase that would go from the top of the stairs in the living room down to like a landing, and that landing would then do like a U-turn and then go down another smaller set of stairs.
Yeah.
The carpet that my parents put in on this staircase, like the pile on the carpet was high enough that I learned if I had initially I started with like a nylon jacket. But I remember, I forget how I figured this out, but one day I was was on the jacket and I realized it could slide down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like it would just go at a perfect diagonal plane down the stairs like a sled. And then
But it was
eventually
on
I
his
realized,
like shins. It was like on his shins and his knees.
and then eventually I realized that my mom bought me a couple pairs of these like nylon like long pants,
So
which
it
are the
just
same
be ultra
material as the
slippery.
jacket. Right. So and of course, as you know, I'm as an alien child, I would wear basically the same clothes like every day. So I would just wear these nylon pants, and I could just like at almost full speed. I could run halfway across the living room, just suddenly drop to my knees at like just the right time, like going off a vert ramp with a skateboard, and I would just like descend down the stairs
very
knees
seamless.
first.
Very
thinking
seamless.
about it now-
You'll break your stride. It's great.
And thinking about it now, just impossibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, terribly,
You
awfully
definitely
dangerous.
should not have been doing that.
But
He was
again, one of those
basically-
things.
He was Kevin McAllister going down the fucking stairs without a sled, just on his legs.
Yes.
Fucking crazy.
And I'm thinking about it now, it's definitely one of those center of gravity things, because when I was doing it as a kid, I remember,
Yeah, you never
my
do it
parents
now.
asking, like, doesn't that, like other
that
kids would
hurt?
be like, doesn't
Yeah.
that hurt? And I'm like, no. One, because, I'm basically made of, like, non-Euclidean,
Cartilage.
putty, at that age. But I remember thinking, like, it never really hurt because it would just vibrate through, like, the rest of, like,
Well,
my body, and
you
my
also
feet
like
didn't hurt either.
You also like, I don't know, it was like a principle of just, it's like the idea of like going over a really bumpy road. The faster you go, the less bumpy it gets. 'Cause
Yes,
you're actually kind of just
exactly.
like gliding over the bumps. You're not actually hitting any of them. So like it was this washboard principle of like you never actually hit the stairs. You just kind of like coasted over the stair.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was learning, like, I think there must have been some like test I did at some point where I was like, if I go fast enough, it's just a downward slope. There were a couple times where like if you catch your knee, you would fall forward, but usually it would be like at the very end. But I think it was like figuring out that principle, and I was like, oh, well, if I can do that, that's just that much quicker, and it's fun.
Absolute madman.
Yeah.
Absolute madman. The only saving grace is that at the bottom of that landing, the carpet actually went up the wall.
Yes.
So like, if you had to bail out for some reason, not that you ever really had to, I don't even know how you managed to like stop at the bottom, but like if you had to bail out and ran into the wall, it wouldn't probably kill you unless you just went full on like headlong into
Yeah,
the
if I like if I like springboarded up by like my leg, which as an adult I definitely would. As a kid, I think the center of mass was so low that it made the initial run and the slide down
Yes.
felt like nothing. I never felt like top heavy. I always felt like, oh, I'm just gonna, if I ever have to fall forward, I can just do that. So like it made the
God,
bottom
son
landing
of
feel
a
like nothing.
bitch.
My favorite thing about this, though, like
getting,
the,
like,
the
halfway.
denouement of this is how much is comparing how much mastery Tom had over this staircase compared to, I
Ugh.
think, the moment that Nate knocked himself out going
That's
down
right.
those stairs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
hit the
I
top
split
of
my
his
scalp.
head on the overhang
Yeah.
of those stairs. Like he was trying to like jump down the stairs, I think, and you
I
like
was in a
clocked
hurry and I
top of
didn't,
your
and
head.
running down the stairs wasn't fast enough, so I jumped basically from like 2/3 of the way up all the way down, and the
Yes.
ceiling, follows it down, except there's a, it goes down at an angle, like straight
Yeah.
down at the very
course.
end, and I clipped my crown.
Classic,
Like, on that-
classic Mario shit.
Yeah, and I split my scalp and got like 6 staples in my head.
Which
That's
I
right,
love
yeah.
this because just like the sheer bravery of Nate thinking that he could do this and like just
Oh,
being
yeah.
willing to just leap off basically the top of the stairs and just completely like boning himself on
Yeah.
on the ceiling effectively. And I just love the idea that Tom had I just like the idea of thinking of Tom seeing this and being like, yeah, that's why I go down on my knees.
That's
Well,
why
so-
I keep a high clearance.
Yeah,
It's
that's why I
funny
do
that
it
you
my way.
mentioned that though, because I remember the day it happened. I was over at
Son of a
one of our
bitch,
cousins'
goddamn it.
houses, and their mom had told me, or was trying to describe to me what had happened. And I remember they said that Nate hit his head and it was on like the stairs, and I was like, okay, that sounds like something that we would do.
Yeah, Tom's thinking like
Literally, I was
wonder-
like, well, Nate and I, like, whatever the genetic trait is, I was like, yeah, we do stuff like that. That makes sense. This one just happened to go wrong. But I remember she was describing to me like she said something like, oh, he was doing that thing that you do where you go down the stairs and he hit his head. And I remember thinking,
isn't
I was
quite
like, that's
accurate.
No,
physically
complete
impossible.
opposite of what you do.
Unless
Yeah,
like the
if
Jolly
you
Green
had
Giant
done
went
it
down the
Tom's way,
stairs.
you'd have been
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and I remember that because I was like, I don't think that's how that works. And like later, I figured out it was like a jump because I actually ended up doing a similar thing years later where I didn't fall backwards, but on the smaller landing, a couple times I did hit my head and have like
Damn
that
it.
little split-second blackout moment, and I was like, oh, that's what he did, but at like a higher volume. That's
Yes.
the same thing. Yeah.
Just far more aggressively. Yeah, orders of
Yeah.
magnitude more
I
dangerous.
started too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I feel bad for your poor mother, guys, because like she had like near death moments, frankly, every day with Tom because he would do that constantly every day.
Oh yeah.
And because again the sound, I can't impress upon the internet enough how apocalyptic the sound was.
Yes.
And what-
It genuinely sounded like a freight train was
remember
barreling
I-
through the house.
Well, you
Well,
always
like-
knew it was
like
Tom
any
coming down the
kid.
stairs.
You
Oh,
always
yeah.
knew. Totally.
Like
In
any
about
kid,
2
I
seconds.
did eventually realize like that the sound would be like
Was too
louder
much.
or would change with the speed. So it like
Yes.
like every kid, you want to see how fast you can go. So I would try to figure like different
What's
ways
the
to
maximum?
increase the speed, which is even more dangerous.
Yes.
Luckily,
so
never
your poor mom
resulted in anything,
was
but-
dealing with that every single day in and of
Yeah.
itself. And then there was the moment, of course, where Nate damn near decapitated himself, right?
Yep.
But then there was also the moment when I was living there, and the Nautilus machine snapped, and
Oh
the
my God, that's
aircraft
right.
cable came around and split my face open.
Yeah, you got Indiana Jones whipped to the face.
Yes, with
like-
basically
with like a-
aircraft cable.
Yeah,
And
I
like
forgot
just
about
blood
that was,
that thing.
everywhere.
that was gruesome.
Yeah, it was absolutely gruesome. I'm very lucky that I'm still as handsome today as I was before. I had a very good doctor who stitched me up. But like, I imagine like because your mom, because it made an unholy crashing sound, right?
Yeah,
And your mom was the only person there. She was upstairs, and like I can only imagine how terrified that she must have been, hearing that crash and being like, "Oh fuck, what happened?"
Oh yeah.
And then coming down and seeing, because I was by that time, by the time she got down there, I was like in the bathroom, like trying to like not bleed to death. And she must have like seen an absolute like horror scene by when she
Oh, yeah.
came down and saw the blood everywhere. So your poor mother, man, this is
Yeah.
why I don't know. You don't have boys, I suppose. Maybe that's the answer. Just don't have boys, I guess.
Try not
I
to.
don't know. Maybe girls are just as terrifying, but like we at least were terrors. So yeah, your poor mom. I feel bad for her. I'm sure like she's better off now not having any of them live in her house on a day-to-day basis. Because
It's
like
all
I had
a lot
that
less chaotic,
I
at
had that
least.
with my dogs. I will hear noises in the house because the dogs have done something that they weren't supposed to, and that can be terrifying. It's like, oh my god, what just broke? What has fallen down? Is someone like trapped under something heavy? Like, I can only imagine if there was like human beings involved, and the potential for you to like go to jail for neglect or something.
Oh yeah, that I
Terrifying.
much respect to all parents out there for having to deal with that
Right
because
up.
I could never.
Absolutely.
Having cats is one thing, but when it's
terrifying.
humans.
Can you imagine raising you, Tom? Like, what a nightmare that would be.
I mean,
terrified all the time.
well, I think it'd be a little bit different because now, as an adult, I can understand what some of those behaviors were. But yeah, from my mom's perspective,
you would have been better at raising you because you
100%
had your brain. You could like you figure out how you
right. I'd be like, I know what it means to be a triangle, so I understand when my son does that, what that means.
Right. But like you can also appreciate by the same token what it would be like if you didn't understand your brain and what a nightmare that would be.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely, I think, did her best to learn those interpretations.
Yes.
I mean, you have to as an adult, but I think even she was like, it's not just an obligation; it becomes interesting eventually. Eventually, you're like, all right, there's a system here, and I'm looking at the outside of it. But there's got to be a way to understand.
It becomes a curiosity. Once the stakes are lowered, it becomes much more fun.
Yeah,
you know, once she can rely on you to not kill yourself, then it becomes like an academic curiosity. But like those few years between, I think probably for you, the ages between like 8 and 16 must have been just white knuckling it the whole time.
Oh, for sure.
Like
for sure.
Shit. Yeah. There's no regard for your own personal safety ever.
No, I mean, certain regards, but I think it was always like the
too much confidence.
Yeah, like not sticking forks into outlets or anything like that.
Yeah, not like no. Your inventiveness was far more exotic. It was not something as prosaic as doing something stupid like sticking a fork.
Yeah, I think it was always within the boundary of is it plausible and does it. At least for me, it was always like as long as it's not. Yeah,
it's that it's not. The problem was that you never did the predictably dangerous stuff. You were far too creative. That was the scary part, because you couldn't guard against the stuff that you couldn't think of. And
right,
you could always think of shit that we could never imagine.
I think the inventive stuff was always supposed to be. It was never meant to be like anything like boisterous or like loud, but it was also never meant to be anything like explosive. It was always like physics based, maybe, but it was never anything that was meant to be like.
Well, this is like you never did it with the intention of causing trouble or the intention of breaking things, but it was just curiosity. Like, could this possibly work? Could I do this?
It was to see if it was cool or if it had some sort of fun element to it. I think that was the main motivator.
Terrifying child. You were, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas me, I got injured a lot, but that's because I was like...
You're always jumping off of shit.
Yes,
you were
I was
acrobat.
I was a reckless acrobat as a child.
Plus, I was a daredevil streak to you.
Yeah, plus I was always playing sports. I think the famous story in our family, and I don't know if you guys even know this, but when we lived in California, we had a pool, and I think I must have been 2, and I just jumped in.
Ooh, I fucking broke him.
I just jumped into the deep end and sank right to the fucking bottom.
Yeah.
And that could have been a picture wrap for me. That could have been the end of the story, but fortunately there was an adult present who actually did have to jump in and like scoop me off the bottom of the pool. But apparently, as the story goes, I was just chilling down there, perfectly happy as a clam. Didn't have a problem with it, as it turns out. I don't know how long that would have lasted until I realized that I couldn't breathe down there.
Yeah.
But that was the story of my life for most of my life. Just
a couple of seconds at least.
Ask questions later.
Yeah, I think that every kid's gonna have some amount of that. You know, you gotta a little bit of fuck around and find out. But there are things that are worse.
Bravery or stupidity. I'm sure it was a bit of both. By the way, Nate, you are doing great right now.
Yeah,
you think so?
This is good evasion.
Yeah.
Nice. Right.
Your slip dodges are really on point. Like you're dodging the right direction.
I think this is the best I've seen you do against the after images. Also, just being able to
Yes.
like I think you're exactly right about like the middle ones are gauged to a certain length, and it's just that last one that really requires the dodge. It's funny how a lot of these things boil down to the same type of dodges you've already done before. They're just more intimidating when they put new mechanics like in between.
You can tell me if you disagree, Tom, but I think right now what he's actually doing best more than he's done before is focusing on hitting his dodges. His defense, he's more patient.
He's not
the
Bloodhound's
going
back
for a
usage
hit
too.
I'm literally just trying to hit him like with a quick 1-2, which is
Yes.
just a light L1 or R1, just because I have compounding multipliers of successive hits.
That was your best run that I've seen you do in a while.
Yeah,
right
it's probably the cleanest, and I'm getting him to halfway or more. Usually, if I don't just fully punk out in the fucking
well, I mean, you were
first phase.
You were very, very patient, like you said. Like you were very measured in your offense, and you're not getting out over your skis. I think that's the secret here in this second phase. You have to be like just ultra patient.
Mm-hmm.
Painfully patient, I think.
Oof.
Which is hard to do because like just getting to the second phase is
Oof.
and because like this guy, you just don't want to be on the field too long with him, right? It
Yeah.
always feels like you're in danger constantly with him. Like we said this the last time too, like the more time you spend on the field with him, the more the odds tilt in his favor.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shitty deal when you know that the name of the game here is patience. Like, because that means you have to spend more time on the field with it, which sucks.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
You are doing
Some
great
amount of
damage.
length.
Oof.
Like,
Yeah,
I
maybe
feel
there's
like
something
the
to that
damage is
cold.
even more than last time, I feel like.
Yeah, I actually switched to quality, just pure quality, because I was finding I wasn't really proccing that second.
What?
I wasn't proccing that second like frostbite.
Ah, that's right. I forgot you run the frost build. I love a frost build. I love ice characters in fighting games and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love those
You a
characters.
Glacius man in
Oh my god, Glacius. Fuck yes.
From Killer Instinct?
yeah.
Yes,
That was
very
yeah.
sure. Yeah, Glacius was my guy for sure.
Everything about the vibes of Killer Instinct is just great.
Dude, Killer Instinct is
I tried to play it a couple months ago
Oh, shit,
on the
man.
on the Nintendo Online. Hard as hell,
That
but
was
man,
good.
I just love jamming to the music, but also just the sound effects in that game is great.
The sound
Sky
design,
level.
the art direction in general for Killer Instinct is kind of god tier.
The secret stuff in that game was cool too, from
Yeah.
what I remember.
I mean, the gameplay was, looking back on it now, having like sometimes like I've gone back and played like a ROM of it in like recently, like in the last 2 or 3 years. It's kind of more like Mortal Kombat than I remember it being. It's a little bit kind of janky, but still the art is just so damn good. The music, sound,
so good.
It's really good. Yeah. Plus, you can't get enough of that announcer guy.
Yeah, the announcer guy is great. They just they had a theme and they were like
Ultra combo.
For sure.
It was Rare too, I think. Yeah, it was Rare doing a Mortal Kombat, which is great.
Peak Rare.
Yep. All right, what are we doing with this fucking thing? Yes, bluff, baby.
Oh shit.
Ooh.
It's all right. Actually, may have actually helped you at the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Dodge the hug.
Yes. Although, if you do get hugged, it's not the end of the world. At this phase, like, you just can't get hugged twice. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, also, you can equip his broken rune, and it will undo it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah, I was reading about that last time.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Neat.
Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. Why do I have this though?
It's a great rune, right? I think.
Yeah, it's a great rune like you would get from another boss, but it's broken and it doesn't give you anything.
It's
actually an item and not like a.
That's probably good for you because like most people, I don't really ever use the great runes. So like if you're gonna have one, it might as well be like a passive thing versus like a.
Well, you use it like a consumable almost, but it never goes away.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Nice. This is a hard boss, man.
Yeah, apparently it's supposed to be the hardest they ever made.
Yeah.
So like,
I think it's the last one for this game, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's
this is the final one. Mercifully, because
Yeah.
like Jesus. I totally agree. I think I actually thought Melania was harder for me, but 100% reasonable people could disagree as to who's harder, Radahn or Melania. I think, depending on your playstyle, he could easily be the hardest in the history of Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically him, Melania, and I don't know, take your pick of. Yeah, I guess this is the question, because we talked about this before, but like, I think a fair argument could be made that there are 10 bosses probably in Sekiro that are harder than the hardest bosses ever in Dark Souls. I think you could make that argument. The only thing I'll say about that, though, is that I think the mechanics in Dark Souls are so limited compared to Sekiro that I just think the gameplay in general is harder late game, because you don't have as many tools at your disposal. It's like Resident Evil, right? Where you're just like your character is kind of nerfed.
Yeah, it's basically two different genres that kind of that are like distantly related.
Totally. Can I just do a shout out to Sekiro? Just to this day, the best third-person action melee combat ever in the history of video games. Oh, speaking of which, I've been thinking about this a lot actually, because I've been playing Lies of P.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lies of P is fucking amazing, and I think we should consider doing that next for Torture Wednesdays.
Yeah.
If you want,
I'm gonna watch that. I have not played. I've watched a couple hours of it, but I don't know any. Like, it's all been like disjointed. I know nothing else about it.
I'm most of the way through it now. It is fucking brilliant. It's an amazing game. Yes, exactly. Chalamet, Sekiro, Chalamet Row.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's really it's actually more of a hybrid of Bloodborne and Sekiro.
I've heard the Bloodborne comparisons more than I've heard the Sekiro or Souls.
It's very Bloodborne-y. It actually, to the point where it's got a real rally mechanic. Its sort of art style is a little more, leans more towards Bloodborne than it does towards Sekiro.
I like, from what I've seen, its narrative, or not the narrative, but like the fictional elements around the mechanics, about like the healing and the like. I forget what else it is, but it seems like it's like it got like a tighter like bow on all of that actually being like part of the game.
I like the gameplay of Lies of P more than Bloodborne, primarily because it does have real Sekiro elements involved, and that is the parry mechanic. The parry mechanic, the deflect mechanic, is fucking great. It's not as good as Sekiro for a number of reasons, which we could get into if we actually played the game, but it might be the second best third-person melee combat I've ever played. It is very, very choice. I highly recommend it. My God, that's a
son of a bitch.
Look at the life though, man.
I know, I'm getting there. I've gotten him down to the last letter of his first name.
Yeah,
I've gotten him down to there before.
I think you are, but you're doing this more consistently now.
I'm like slowly teching my way up there, one little thing at a time.
You are. This
I'm
is the
also
bell curve you're talking about, though. Like, I feel like we're in that phase now where he's making consistent, repeatable progress.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I feel like he's cracking it. I don't know if he's quite there yet, but he's real close.
Yeah. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I have this. This. But
well, I'm confident.
It happened on like a fucking Thursday, and I was like, crap, I
think
can't.
What we've done here is proof of concept. I think you've demonstrated that you will get there. The question now is when. How long will it take? I don't know.
Right.
Because I think we're running up against that point now where you are definitely getting better each time, but at some point, fatigue will set in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We'll get to the fatigue part, and then you'll start playing worse at the end of that bell curve, and then probably at that point you'll want to stop, so that you don't get worse. Because what happens, I think, sometimes with that is you start to practice imperfect, right? And you start to build bad habits.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too.
That actually happens in sports. So for me, whenever I would get fatigued, that's the time you need to stop playing, because you're going to start.
Yeah, you start getting frustrated.
I was thinking, I wonder, since this is Elden Ring, would it be worthwhile to, after a few attempts, I don't know if there was like anything else you could springboard off of or go do, but like something else out in the world that's still in the game, it's not done. I would do that when I would like struggle against like some of like the earlier bosses. I would just go out and explore more because that's kind of what I also like about Elden Ring compared to the Souls games is that open worldness means I'm just going to go explore to the west a little bit and then I'll come back.
That does end up kind of like becoming a laboratory, right? Like you can like, because like what I do, like
brain's still thinking about
I can do in Lies of P, for example, like I will actually sometimes just do a run of a certain area because I can hone my parry skill just by doing that, and it itself is fun, and I'm also farming at the same time. So like I see some merit in doing that. I think Elden Ring
it's an option. I don't know how beneficial it'll be until you really go and do it, I think.
Well, in some ways, that's kind of what Nate was doing before the stream, right? So like this past week, he said he was playing out in the real world, in the regular base world.
Yeah. So I think something like that, maybe, give it a couple minutes on stream in between attempts, see if it has any actual like reset power, and it might not.
Interesting. So maybe try like that same effect of just putting the game down for a while. If he went and just did something completely different and then came back, you think it would have that same effect? That's an interesting idea.
Oh boy.
I will say the slip dodging is so much better than last time. Like it is intentional and very, very good. I'm very impressed with the dodging.
Oof.
Yeah, like that. That was sick.
Just a bounce back,
Yeah, man.
Fucking
dude,
shit.
Every time I hear the soundtrack, it is straight up Lost Boys. Crazy. I think they might have a lawsuit on their hands.
Right?
Possibly.
Thou shalt not kill. Speaking of which, go back and watch that movie. Fucking sick.
Oh my god.
You're living.
All right. Well, that's all right. That's a freebie.
No problem.
Yeah. I get it.
I'd rather this right now than getting clocked in the face, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just don't let it happen again. Although I'm not sure you've ever been zeroed out with a second hug. Does that even happen?
Not yet.
I don't think so.
It's
No.
the first time for everything.
Yeah.
Even you died while you were marked, but not because of the mark.
That's true. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Oh god.
That was a big hit. Still living though. Man, it's so hard. Like, when do you heal with this motherfucker? That was it. He answered the question, guys. Nate had the answer.
Yeah.
He did it again. Yes. Perfect. Damn.
Nice.
This
is the one move I'm really still having trouble with.
Yeah,
I think there's like one extra move.
Yeah, he's kind of roll catching you. I don't know what the tech is on that. I have to think about it. That's one of those shitty Elden Ring mechanics where it's like your tools kind of aren't up to dealing with that problem. Like, you're almost good enough to deal with it, but you just have like one fewer frame in your dodge than you need. Damn, the timing on the hesitation dodge. Nate, you got this crack, baby. I am confident that you will get this guy.
Oof.
Look at this. You broke him.
Oof.
You got any heals?
No, I have nothing.
Oh, all right, well, just relax. Probably not going to win this one, but you did amazing. Look at this. Those dodges, man. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the health. Look at it.
Yeah, I know. I've only done this like once, maybe twice.
Your dodges in that.
Yeah, they were getting better. They
were fucking top tier.
I need to know the difference, what pauses I need, like what pauses I can do charged heavies and which ones I do the stick and move with the just the light L2 or L1 or R1. Jesus. Because there is like it does, have dividends.
What was the other thing that like go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say, it's getting to that point where I say this with multiple bosses where you've basically, at this point, you have not beaten the boss, but you have done enough damage over enough tries that you basically have beaten the boss. You've gotten him down to a point low enough. Yeah, now it's just a matter of, it's that last like 15%.
Yeah, which at that point, that's kind of like margin of error, right? So like, if he had chosen a different move at a different time earlier in the fight, you probably would have had enough health left to have beaten him, right?
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's just luck of the draw by that point to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get him to within like 10 HP, which is about what you had him at basically at the end there, that's effectively to me proving that you and basically have beaten him.
Oof. Yeah, it's probably like one or like probably between.
Yeah, you just
like,
needed a couple
probably
of other
two
things to
good
go your
charge
way.
hits away based on what I was doing.
Yeah, you just needed a little better luck would have.
Yeah,
won
maybe
you
maybe
the
one less heal or two because I'm getting caught by that.
day.
By one of the,
Exactly
like,
right.
I think there might be one or two extra like meteors in his phase 2.
It 100% it seems that way. It's just more. It's more bullet hell with that meteor.
Like
Well done.
just the stray move, the stray hit every once in a while, like
Mhm.
matters.
Exactly. Yeah, the margin of error there is just that's like the random piece that you don't have a ton of control over.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Psycho Crusher.
The dodge through that is impressive.
Man, was there
fuck.
anything more intimidating than M. Bison on level 7 in Street Fighter 2? Like, Jesus Christ.
Is he? M. Bison is the last person you fight, no matter who you pick, right?
Yep.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was like
He's
a
the
half a
big
second
boss
behind
in
that.
Street Fighter 2 for sure.
Yeah.
That's right.
The
Yeah.
problem with
He's
him
usually
was-
the big boss of most of the games, the majority of the
He is.
games.
Yeah, he's the like canon big boss.
Alpha 2, not 3.
Sagat was the other
4?
kind
No.
of big one.
Wasn't Sagat
Set-
the first
yeah,
in
5.
Street Fighter 1?
I think
Sagat was in
so.
Street Fighter OG Street Fighter 1. Yeah, Sagat was it.
The lore behind Sagat and Ryu was really cool. I always
Yeah.
dug that.
Yeah. It was that fight that put Ryu on M. Bison's radar in the first place.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Resulted in the giant scar on Sagat and shit. Like, real cool.
And then
Oh,
Dan's
yeah.
Dan's dad is who gave him the eye patch.
Fucking Dan. I can't, like...
It was Dan
Dan
in
always makes me
2.
laugh.
He wasn't in
I
2
just love that
Turbo,
he's named
right?
Dan.
Because
Yeah,
Dan
no,
and Cammy are like the two that I'm like, I
Dan
remember
didn't
they
show
were
up
like
until
soon after.
Alpha?
He was in
forget-
Alpha.
Dang.
Yeah.
I know he was in Alpha. I just
Yeah.
can't remember if that was his first debut.
I think it was Third Strike. Was he in Third Strike?
I think he's in Third Strike because Third Strike is like one of the most popular ones.
No, Ken and
FGC.
Ryu are the only ones that came from a previous title
Interesting.
in Third Strike.
Oh, really?
Third Strike had a whole bunch of new people, yeah. For
Yeah.
Sure.
Dudley, I think, is third, maybe Alpha.
Dudley
Fucking Dan,
is
though.
Alpha. Or no, Dudley is 3.
I like how Dan sometimes shows up in the Street Fighter versus SNK crossovers. Like, of
Yeah.
all the people
Oh,
to
yeah.
choose, why would you choose Dan?
Because if you can beat him with Dan, it's kind of itself.
I guess like the squirrel
It is
girl.
kind of like
of Street
it's like
Fighter.
playing the Wretch, you know, like it's hard mode. It's like if you want to find a Shoto with no actual powers, Dan's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
Like a fake Shoto.
Hmm.
I gotta say, as like shitty as that move is, it is very cool looking.
It's kind of the
It
opening
does.
I need
It
to get
looks
set
really
up.
good.
It's very Jesus-y.
It's probably my favorite of those kind of AoEs where it's like the first few times you fight against it, you kind of have this panic of like, I know I need to dodge
Yeah.
it, but it just seems like I can't.
It's very intimidating, yeah.
Because then he just starts doing these like regular like sword swings with them following after, and you're like, does it just happen all the time?
Yeah. Well,
Fuck!
this is, like
God damn!
the intimidating thing about him is like when does it stop? Like when's
Yeah.
my window? When am I ever going to be able to do this?
Right. And I've had
Yeah.
that even before. I had that even in some of the base game bosses. I was
It's-
like,
yeah.
is it possible?
Phase 2 is basically phase 1, except in phase 1 you can get away.
Mhm.
Like you don't. He doesn't have the AOE, so you can actually like dodge, roll
Correct.
out, or even run out.
you can
can't-
get to safety. There's
Yeah,
no safety.
There's basically no retreating. You kind of have to stick on him unless he overcommits
Correct.
with like an animation
Yeah.
of some big.
You
thing.
have to be on point
to basically
with
stay
all of your-
underneath him at all times, which is still dangerous.
You cannot play defense by making space. You have to be on point with your tech.
Yeah.
It's got to be all on you.
Yeah. Well, Nate, I think you got about a little less than 48 hours until the other game series that
I know.
undoes your muscle memory for
That
this
is-
comes out.
That was
Second to
kind
Monster
of
Hunter.
Yeah. Because that is the other one that has like a stamina and a dodge timing to it, but is so vastly different from Dark Souls that if you play a monster, I remember doing this with Rise and World, playing that for a couple weeks or months at a time, and coming back to a Souls game, and I was like, oh shit, my timing is all off. I can't just like come back to it and relearn it. I have to like really relearn it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I was hoping to get this
Hunter's
done
controls
before.
are like totally backwards and weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Nothing like Souls.
I would say the thing they have in common is the animation timing.
The gameplay
like, those games
itself
make you
is
realize
kind
it.
of similar, but the control schemes are always like upside down and backwards.
The like the way that like the grindstone works with how much time you spend in and out, so to speak, is definitely different, because in Monster Hunter that can vary. Like with dual blades, you can spend a lot of time just on the monster dodging and basically dodging next to them and keep attacking them, whereas in this you have to take breaths. In those games, it's either you're so slow you have to basically take a breath after 2 strikes, or you just stay on them constantly.
Do you guys
anywhere
enjoy
in between.
playing solo, or are you primarily like you
In
prefer
Monster
to
Hunter?
play multiplayer? Yeah.
I do a lot of solo. So in the older games, there's a point in which you really can't play solo. Like the monsters are so tough and their
you
health
really
bar
do
is so
need
high, you have to play with
something.
people. I used to play a lot of solo.
Is there
in
matchmaking
3
in
and 4.
this?
Yeah, you
Is there
can.
match-
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's much so in the old days in the PSP, it was all lobby. There was no matchmaking, and I basically never played multiplayer. But with the newer ones like Worlds onward, there is matchmaking, and it's usually very fast. It's
Really?
much better than it used to be in the old days.
You know,
yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Capcom's got to be good at that with all the Street Fighter shit that they do. They've got to have
What
good
they
technical-
do, for anyone in chat who's watching, it's a little bit like Helldivers. They did a really good job in World of saying like part of the problem with the old games was without any matchmaking, it was all lobby based, and for some of those monsters you need to have 4 people total. So what they did instead in World was they released a thing called the SOS flare, which is like if you go into a fight solo, you can open it up for multiplayer and just say like, hey, if anyone wants to help me, it's kind of like the SOS thing I think in this also, like the little like golden effigy. If you put it down, it lets people join you, and the monster's health will scale to multiple people, but you can start the fight solo, and then people can sort of like gradually come into the fight if people decide to like join an SOS flare mission, basically. So you can go in with a full lobby right away, or if you want to do matchmaking but you don't want to wait, you can start doing it solo and then have people come in over time, basically.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's you can still do, fully solo or find a team manually, but they give you more options in terms of you can play with people in a way that's a little bit easier. It's kind of like this where if you want to do co-op or even PvP, you put down a summon sign and you can kind of just go, if you use the whatever that the area one is, you can just put it down, go do some other stuff, and then eventually you get called, basically.
And you guys all play PC, right? Are you on
Yeah.
like PlayStation or?
Yeah.
given the choice, yeah.
For this one, I'll be on PC. For Rise, I was on the Switch.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't
World was
Rise
PC.
exclusive to Switch for a while?
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was like a timed exclusive, and then eventually it came to PC. I think after like
Yeah.
it wasn't a full year, because World was PS4 exclusive for a year, I think, and then it came out for PC. But they're starting to, with each new game in the series, they're tightening up that to the point where I think this new one is going to be all platforms at once.
Did you guys prefer Wild or Worlds or Rise?
I think overall I still prefer World, but I do love Rise. For what it
Yeah,
is.
World is the most Western of them, because all of them before are very Capcom, very Japanese inspired. I will say they get better with the quality of life stuff every game. World was the biggest
shit.
leap with the SOS flare, but I think every time they do a new game, they try to include like a new innovative mechanic, and they usually don't last for more than a game. Like the core gameplay loop of hunting monsters, different weapons or different classes stays the same. I think Rise, right, just because of recency bias, kind of wins out over World for me.
Yeah.
Rise also kind of returns to there's an issue with the Monster Hunter games with the maps, where in the old games, because like they were on Nintendo handhelds and PSPs and stuff, they used to load each like area as like a room. So like you'd have like a map and it would have like different like regions basically, and they would be numbered like 1 through 9 or 12 or whatever. Ooh,
we're gonna do it.
Is this it?
Nate.
This might be
Come
it.
on, baby. One more. Good patience. This is it.
Oh my God! Yes!
Yes.
Oh my God!
I love the double
Victory.
fake
Fucking
spin kick that happened
finally!
right before.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
All it took
Mark
was
it down,
me
baby.
rambling about Monster Hunter. That's all it
Yeah,
takes.
no, I channeled the
trying to,
power
like,
of me wanting to be done with this before Monster Hunter.
I find that useful to like take the pressure off Nate. He doesn't have to participate in the conversation. He can come.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys, both of you being here. Otherwise, I kind of am like, by necessity, kind of half in, half out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
to some degree.
yeah. By the nature of stream, yeah.
Dude, you did it. You beat Radahn.
Yeah, nice.
Jesus.
Congratulations,
Look at
man.
that even soul counter.
Let us go
go
together.
together.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's wild.
That is some Zenness Kingdom Hearts bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out that
Oh
soul.
my God.
What's
God.
the little glowy thing there?
Touch, memory. God, I'm so glad to be done with this before Monster Hunter. I could not do 2 big games at one time. There's only room for 1 snake and 1 big boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
So
we
is there
might
like an
have to
endings
go
thing to
on
this?
Wednesday hiatus then, if you guys are going to be doing that.
Maybe. I might
don't know.
try and join. I think Helldivers is going to get replaced. Ooh, cutscene.
Oh, really?
Rare cutscene.
Yeah.
Oh,
My cat is having a crisis now.
okay.
Dude.
Going to be a god.
Buddy.
So this is Mikola while he
Wants
was
to watch the
still
cutscene.
corporeal. We, as in him and Melania?
I think, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I have thoughts about this because we don't know what kind of consent Radahn gave for being his promised consort. Like this could have been completely unilateral. Like Mikola's like, I see you from afar, and we know each other, but like, I'm gonna you're the enforcer I need, but you don't know this. I'm coming after you, and I vow that you're gonna be my promised consort.
Yeah.
Or he's ooh, cool, circlet of light. Or Radahn was like, oh yeah, totally, dude. Like I'm 100% on board. I like the cut of your jib. I like your style, your steez. Count me in. But that doesn't quite like.
It doesn't really line up with who Radahn is. I'm thinking he's
General Radahn who wants to fight forever. So I think it kind of split the difference, and he's just like, oh, when you become a god, yeah, sure, kid. Whenever you do become a god,
Yeah, waiting in the
totally.
shadows.
Mikola is also like
he's not taking him seriously. Yeah, exactly. And like Mikola's like, you don't know this, but it's totally fucking happening. Already got like multiple plans to do this. You're just not taking me seriously.
Yeah.
So like I think I split the difference between like Radahn in, Radahn out. I think he's like half-heartedly like appeasing him, like being like, oh yeah, totally, whatever, man.
I think it makes sense for if Mikola was kind of doing like a double cross, like using Radahn as like your blue shell blocker to be like, yeah, you're not actually going to overtake me. You're just here to make sure that no one stops me from doing this.
Well, Nate, here we are at the end of all things,
intelligence,
as they say.
Yeah.
What do you think about Elden Ring and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree? We are done.
Erdtree is great. Yeah. There's still like open, like I think there's some stories that didn't really get a definitive ending, like Godwin the Golden, how he was supposed to be like king of the undead or whatever, but then he got then we kind of stand in his way almost, unless we do the Duskborn thing.
Yeah.
But like overall, like great DLC. I wish there were more weapons of the new variety types. Like
because there's only 3 of each.
There's only not even like this and Dane's footwork are the only hand-to-hand ones.
I'm pretty sure there's 3 of each. Or did we miss one?
Yep.
Or did you look it up?
Hand-to-hand. Yeah. Trust me. When I was looking at how to build this thing, I was like, is there any other arts out there? No.
I think that's it. Yeah.
They are they share a lot of attributes with the fist weapons. A lot of them share like Ashes of War and scaling attributes and various affinities. But in terms of the proper like hand-to-hand weapon type, only the 2.
Well, you
That
know what this
said, I
means,
wish there were more Ashes of War that could either you could do greases or you could maybe some of the armament infusion spells
Yeah.
like the blood blade or
Like
whatever
a temporary
blade.
moveset. Yeah, that'd be kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Well, you know what this
Ooh.
means then. You're gonna
What's
have to go into the
Oh.
world of modding.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah.
So I want a
Play as Sonic.
Shuriken, man. I want a whole shadow build for
Play as
this
play as
stuff.
Hank Hill.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone wants to do.
Tolier, my boy. Hidden needle. Okay, I got his. Okay.
So
I got his
is this
stuff.
like
You can
a
cosplay as some now.
Oh, I like some of his gear. Oh
Ian,
no,
is
my
this
boy
like
Ed's
a
back.
kiln of the first flame type situation? Does he have to do anything here, or is it
No,
just
this DLC isn't meant to be like the end. Oh, the fucking.
Oh, I see. It's not meant to be the end of
Cool.
the right, because you have to go
Yeah, I
Elden,
still gotta
okay.
do. Yeah, what we could do. Just for shits and grins to see how this stacks up.
Can you PvP in here? That'd be great.
What I can do just to see.
Probably.
I do have this basically queued up. On the off chance that I got done with Radahn early and I needed something else to fill our time.
I mean, the odds of beating Radahn at either the absolute beginning or the absolute end of a stream, that seems highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh no, shit, not that one.
Yeah, what are we back here for? What is this?
Are you doing you want to do Melania again?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna
that's right,
see
we're
how
in-
I stack up.
forgot
to
we're in
Actually, I
Melania.
do
New
want
Game
to see.
Plus.
Yeah,
Like if I
I
just
like
took
that
out
you-
Radahn with this build, what does Melania do?
I like that
forgot
you
we
went
were in New
in.
Game Plus.
You went
Yeah.
into the Radahn fight doing what most action movies end up resolving to, which is the two guys with the handguns run out of ammo and they throw them down and they
They
just
throw
switch
them
to
away,
fists.
yeah.
Because they always do that. But
Yeah.
Radahn has two gigantic fucking great swords in each hand, and you were like, all right, well, I'm still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to throw them down.
Yeah.
That would be so
So-
cool. I would love to have a boss fight in one of these do that, where it's like, all right, now you're both just going to punch each other.
All right. I'm gonna skip this because we've seen this before. Ooh. Oh my god.
I did
love
so many times to
Melania.
co-op.
Yeah.
She is a fun fight. Doing it, I mean, doing it with other people has made me realize how much she does have a lot of gaps, and there are ways to trick her, but it's
She's
So
also
tough.
like so many of the other humanoid enemies where she's just too squishy. She does not have enough health.
Yeah.
that's kind of true. Yeah, I
Look-
think
look,
coming
look at the
back after
damage
this-
Nate is doing to her right now.
Yeah. Well, it's because of her poise. I think even if I did the same amount of damage, she just didn't take so much hit stun.
Yeah,
She
I think
definitely
that would
seems
be-
like a fight where it is you're hitting her
fuck.
much less,
There you go.
but she has so much less health that it doesn't really matter.
Hey, you survived.
Blast.
Nice.
Yeah. Once I got
Yeah.
that first one.
I mean, that's really the only thing that you need to do is survive.
I think that does speak to what you did with Radahn, but for her, the first time with her, is still that muscle memory takes much longer to go away.
I mean, I'm just gonna say, you're fucking tuning her up right now because she's taken way too
Faster
much
than
damage.
I've ever done it, even
Yeah.
with
I
people.
mean, granted, she's meant to
Nice.
be earlier game, right? So you're meant to encounter her when you're weaker,
Yeah.
which I suppose is fair enough. But I still just I wish that she would scale more for New Game Plus and New Game Plus 2 and so on, because she has the same problem in end game builds that Artorias has, which is she just can't stay on the
yeah.
field long enough because she doesn't have enough health.
Yeah,
So you can kind of bully her because she takes hit stun, right?
right.
You
And
can
I will
just
say,
do rush down.
even the poise damage you're doing from the that's right, you got successive hits on. So oh my
Yeah.
god.
So
It's gonna
really, the
melt
more
her.
hits I get off, the more damage I do.
Right.
And I
Ooh,
really start
nice.
gaining momentum.
Could you imagine if you do a no death Radahn kill to Melania kill, just in the same stream?
This is just one of those Artorias had this too, that at the end of the day, when you're in an end game build, it's one of the few fights where you actually have way more health than the boss does.
Right. Yeah, that is true because even
Which is really kind of fucked up.
So here's a question: does the Shadow Tree level up system does that go away when you go back to the base world?
You do not get Shadow
Yeah.
Tree.
You go back to
benefits
normal
in the
scaling.
base world.
That's what I was hoping for because it would be. It's cool when you can do that in some games, but I like the idea of that those levels only exist in that other
Yes.
realm, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember this move.
Yeah, this is the one that really fucked him up when he
Never
was
saw this one.
when he was playing the base game. the
Oh,
original
that's right.
fight.
Yeah, because I remember that one. I was like, I don't know how you dodged that.
Yeah.
Oof.
Like, look at this. This is your first try, and like you are
Yeah.
3/4 of the way through her.
Oof. I forgot you had Hyper Armor on that one.
Yeah, that's the one that you were always too greedy on in the original fight.
Yeah.
It's,
I haven't
it's the
tried
wanting
the
to
Palm
put the
Blast.
pressure
I might
on
be able to
before
like
the
3-shot
hyper
her.
armor.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, watch out for that shit. That used to get you too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's an easy one to get hit by.
The active frames on this are far too long.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Hey,
even
class, too long. Damn, you do so much damage to her. Jesus.
I know, right?
I think it's also a
Everything's a
combination what
yellow
he's got on. I wonder, has this weapon been leveled up at all? Maybe.
I think you're at max right now on all
Yeah,
your weapons.
I'm
right
at
now?
max.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna fight
which
Radahn
ones?
without
No.
being at 25 at least on
Yeah.
my weapons.
That,
Yeah,
that
look
is
at
the
this.
time where I would
Crazy.
absolutely do it.
Because
All
like
those
compare
raw
her
gens.
health bar right now to Radahn's. Like Radahn, you really had to.
Yeah.
Like he had so much. He was so healthy.
Oof. Okay.
Ooh, that's a
Like I
dangerous
don't
move.
think I'm doing this in one.
I don't know.
I mean, you totally could. I mean, break her
I am
one
kind of
time.
being dumb about it.
Yeah, you're being a little over aggressive for sure.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
but you
the-
essentially have now beaten her, right? I mean, let's be fair.
Yeah.
More you could switch to a ranged attack right now for magic and just end it. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
get that buff, baby. You do have one heal.
No, I don't.
Oh, you had one.
No, I don't have any more heals.
What?
I don't
you
think I
do.
have
I
any.
just saw it.
No.
I just saw it. You lying to me. I was looking right at it. And can you survive this? Dunzo.
Got her. Did it in
Wow.
one. I
Yeah,
see. I have no heals.
Called
Look,
it.
at, look at the health bars. Compare the health bars to each other.
Called it a
This is-
phase
I know,
one.
right?
Wire.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
I will
a
say
cool
that
barn
is
burner.
true. Yeah.
But man, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
like-
Glad I can do Millennia in one comparatively to Radahn.
Nate, you did
Damn.
Radahn and Melania in the
That's
same.
that's what I was
Back
saying.
to
I was
back,
like,
man.
what if he does it? What if he does it back
Yeah.
to back, no deaths?
Yeah,
Right?
crazy. But that was
Brother.
awesome, man.
I like
Dude,
that because
Melania is
the,
ride or die. I still
yeah.
love her
using
for it.
it's so cool to use like against her long ass sword, like a regular sword versus a spear, like a polearm. You're using like fists, and also like the grace and danciness of those weapons, like the fist weapons against hers, kind of like matches. It's very like you don't need to do a lot of hits, but they need
get
to be
everything?
enough damage each time that it's either staggering her or it's doing like significant like.
Well, that's
health
the good
pull
thing
each time.
about. I think, in my opinion, that's the good thing about Dex weapons and
Yes.
quick weapons against
Yeah.
Melania because she takes hits done, right? So, like, any weapon you use can knock her out of her animation.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about the pole blade against her. Because like even with like people, it helped. But if I had to do most of it like solo, it was easy to get in and out with it because it was like I don't have to do a lot of stuff as long as I can like play the attrition game and then just death by 1,000 cuts. It's much more doable with like a dex weapon with like a decent amount of upgrades.
Yes. So, Nate, I'm curious.
Mhm.
Apples to apples here, like for like.
Yeah.
First encounter. Who did you feel more hopeless against? Melania
Hmm.
or Radahn?
That's a tough call. It's close either way. I think. Fuck. I don't know, man.
I want to
think-
say
I think I might.
I think
flip-flop
you
on
ended up
this.
having more. I think you ended up having more trouble with Melania.
I was going to say the same thing, and I also think part of it is the reputation. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when it was
Something
base
lasted
game, let me
longer.
solo her and all that stuff kind of made
Yeah.
it a little bit more like
Yeah.
folklore, kind of like intimidating, and not just like okay, because you didn't
Yeah, because
like
there
you
was
know who
there was,
Melania
like,
is,
mystique around. There was
right? Radahn is a mystery until you get to his
Yeah,
his,
and everybody knew and we knew he was going to Melania. He knew he was going to Melania. Like everybody
Yeah.
knew Melania.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know I
Yeah,
was
for
walking
sure.
into Radahn before I saw him. I was like, "Fuck, okay."
Yeah, Melania was
back.
this like thing looming out there that you
Mhm.
knew
It's
you were
like,
gonna
oh,
have to deal
it's-
with.
Today's the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be Melania, although, now that I've done them back to back, Melania is easier, but I think that's just because
Well, that's the
it's
thing. Like she is
a product
now
of the
because
time.
you're so
Yeah.
you've totally out leveled her.
You can also like
Yeah.
see like what her pattern, because before you were also kind of like in between builds at the time. This is a thing you've been practicing
Yeah,
against Radahn.
I definitely did spec
beating against the tree
specifically.
with.
Yeah, and I think my weapon choice was like a better match for her, like like a more
Yeah,
advantageous
faster.
match.
Right. Still,
Yeah,
still
like,
fewer
I do-
hits, but not so
Yeah.
few that you're not getting like the poise damage.
Yeah,
off.
And
I mean, the amount of damage that you were doing to her in this fight
Yeah.
was bonkers bananas.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
could
were
throw heavies when
fucking
I
her
wanted
up.
to, but if I needed to, like, especially in phase 1, if I needed her to stun her, I just throw a quick, like,
Correct.
I'm doing like
Yeah.
flicker jabs,
You
basically, to put it in
you
boxing terms.
absolutely controlled the fight by just touching her, and she had
Yeah.
to stop. You could tell her
Yeah.
to stop anytime you wanted.
So,
Even when I was
honestly-
doing the co-op runs against her, like with other people base game, like a year ago, I think I was doing that. Even like between me and like 2 other people, she wasn't getting like staggered, even that little split second she has, as much as she was against those weapons specifically. Like it looked more like a punch out fight than it did like 3 people with co-op with like big like faith weapons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
let's see.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
We got to start talking seriously then
Yeah.
about what we want to do with this space
Mhm.
in the future. I mean, yes, there's going to
okay.
be Monster
That's
Hunter Wild,
amazing.
so I guess you guys might want to just use the space for that, which is fine.
I don't know what the
otherwise-
first week or two, because I mean the same thing with Helldivers. It might
Right.
we might have like a full week or two of it. I don't know if that's actually Cameron's plan.
that makes
Just
sense.
my thinking is we're probably going to spend a few extra days besides Mondays for Wilds, but I don't think that there's any reason
it's just the new
we still
hotness.
can't continue with
It'll cool off
yeah.
eventually. So
What?
I guess that's the question then. So like when
What?
it does, and what is this?
Why do I have 2
Oh, yeah.
swords? Is it
Why
because I
have
have his
2
previous
swords?
remembrance? No. Okay. What's the difference?
Did you?
Lord and Light. Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Promised
Because
consort.
he has 2 swords.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
right,
Lightspeed
yeah.
slash.
Now you got to do it again.
And then Light of
Yeah,
Mikkel
exactly.
annihilates foes with Pillar of Light. Oh shit.
Oh, that's going to be sick.
Although you don't have
That's
to do it
cool.
again, because what you could do is duplicate at one of the
Yeah.
muzzles.
Oh, there's
okay.
2 different weapon arts there.
Yeah, it's
on each of the
two
swords.
different stats. Yeah.
You can
Lightspeed
get 2
slash
of the
sounds
3 here
pretty
if you
cool,
duplicate.
though.
Yeah. I might
Wait,
have
is
to.
Lightspeed slash the after
It was
image
that
thing?
after image thing, I think. I mean,
Ooh.
that's purely speculation, but based on like, just by experience, my observed
right.
experience. Do I want a power stance Hand of Mikula?
I mean, that's like
That'd be rad.
that's super broken.
super
build. Although
weeb.
the thing about her weapon though is that her weapon art, as fucking awesome as it is
Yeah.
I think it did
heavy.
get a poise buff.
really hard to pull off because the startup
Yeah.
for it is huge and you can get knocked out of it.
It's
You
got to
can.
be
I
one
do
of those
think the
fuck you
poise
button
was
things.
adjusted to be increased a little bit, so it's a
I would
bit
hope
more viable. But but
It's
I
also
think you're
though
right.
you don't want
I
to
think
make it
it's
too
still-
viable because it's very liable to become broken too. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's, like,
What you can do
enough.
now, Nate, is you can just get summoned, I think, to help people with that fight still, if I understand
Yeah.
the summoning correctly. So you can
Mhm.
still do that fight on this character, just put the summon sign down and just wait around.
Or if you
I
want
really
to
have a
be
lot
a
of
real
fun doing
man,
that.
if you want to be a real man, you could just go mod the game so that you can play it whenever you want.
I was so now that I've experienced the parry physics,
Yes.
that shit is awesome. I just
It's
want
really
that
cool.
on. I just want that to
Yes.
be part of my blocking mechanic.
Correct. Yes. That should have been in the game from the beginning. It
I
should
really-
be a mechanic.
I really want to do an SRK off of that, like as a guard counter, because
Yeah.
that is absolutely what it is in fighting games.
Block and punish, baby.
Yeah, you just block and then you just throw the the Ken 2-hit Shoryuken.
Yeah.
My favorite move in all of fighting games is the wake up Shoryus. Because
Yeah.
they're so fucking disrespectful. They
Mhm.
clearly demonstrate that you have no respect for this man and you don't think that he's a danger to you, and you are pressing buttons on wake up, and your button is an extremely
It's also a
punishable
punish.
super.
Yeah.
Mhm.
'Cause,
It's a
like,
good way
if
to
you
punish
whiff
like a
on-
very common spam move.
Well, because the thing about Shoryus is if you whiff, you're fucked, because on the way
Mhm.
back down, your recovery frames are enormous.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're doing wake up Shoryus when it is not your turn, that's like clearly you do not respect this man that you are fighting. Like, that is my favorite move. Like, wake up
Yeah.
Shoryus. I do not care about you. I'm gonna
Right.
do them. You do not scare me.
Also, bit of lore drop here. Sir Ansbach.
Oh yeah.
He's a Moog fanboy. He's a Moog loyalist, but
That
he's
makes sense.
he's such a chill bro, like to everybody. He's basically the spectral opposite, but still the same kind of like attributes as Ofnir here. But like how Ofnir basically he kind of
Ofnir,
judges you
sure.
as inferior intellect, so you're really only good for like errand boy stuff, and he gets people to do his dirty work and whatever. But like he's still seeking knowledge. Whereas Ansbach is like seeking knowledge, but he's like, I'm going to reserve judgment till I get a better picture of things. Also, I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. Like they're equal but opposite like character arcs, and I was really cool to learn how much of a fucking bro Ansbach is.
Yeah,
So
Ansbach is
like,
great.
yeah, it might be my favorite character of the DLC.
Interesting.
Since we're here, I just wanted to.
He's such a cool guy.
I wanted to link you. I mean, you've probably already seen it, but I tagged you both in a message in this chat. I just wanted to link the Gideon getting fucking pinged with the flying hammer. It's so funny to me. Just to like
kind of
the one where he winds up and just throws it.
I feel like Gideon is like the most hated. I think Gideon's the most
he's
hated.
such an asshole.
Oh, because he has the well, it's also a magic user who like one, it's the betrayal, but it's also that he's like, yeah, remember that shit I was reading the whole time? I've got it.
Just a little bitch.
Oh, this guy's still here.
This guy's dead body's been here for years.
So Salubius?
Yeah, he's basically done now.
Doesn't it go?
This is Roger.
He'll eventually fade away. He's got the death blight in him or whatever. He's gonna go to sleep and fade away to nothing.
Yeah, his dead body has been there for months now.
But like Gideon Ofnir is such an asshole. Like he's the one who sends people to do his dirty work to kill all the Albernac like village because he's after the Haligtree medallion piece.
Oh, that's right. That's why he's there.
He's the one who, he's the reason why everyone's either dead or insane at that village. He also is willing to sacrifice, what's her name? The barbarian woman who you meet really early on. The same woman who's got the last name is Horalu, someone Lu, Neferi Lu.
Oh, yeah.
Nefedi Lu. I don't know. But he's willing to like sacrifice her. Everybody is a tool and a means to an end to his stuff, and he just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my last bit of lore drop, I guess. On's back for life.
Well, we do have to talk then. We do have to talk about what we want to play next.
What are we doing next, and who's doing it? Like, I'm willing to do stuff, but does anybody else want to take a turn? You know.
So there's the first question, obviously, when, and it just seems like there will probably be at least a week or two devoted of this space. To
we still have to. I would still confirm that because I think Cameron's not going to take the space unless we give it up. So we can also just Yeah.
So I guess ultimately, so we can talk. So Nate, we've talked extensively about some of the options in front of you. Mm-hmm. We've been on this odyssey of Souls-likes and FromSoft, and to me, the obvious next one
is Bloodborne.
Yeah,
I think,
we do have historical explicit requests to play something prettier.
So Bloodborne is not prettier. It might be cooler, but it is not going to be prettier. So prettier. If they want pretty, there are options. I guess they want like color. They want like color. Is that
color and maybe I don't know. We'll see.
We can also do something. We don't have to do. I mean, I think Bloodborne is absolutely on the roster.
Oh, I'm sure it's on the to-do list for sure.
If we're looking for more Soul stuff, I know we've mentioned some of the other shorter ones in between. We could do one of those if that's. I mean, it's ultimately up to whoever's behind the sticks.
So let me put some out there, and then you guys can think about it if you want to. And then it's not going to be a comprehensive list by any means, but just a few ideas. So first and foremost is Bloodborne. I do think that we need to play that. It is
100%.
It is on our eventual
play.
It is a must read. It is like, it's on the must read list. It's required reading. Secondarily though,
and Dark Souls
2. Dark Souls 2 absolutely should be on the list. That's a great game. People shit on it. They shouldn't. It's a great game.
Yeah. It's a gem.
Yeah, it's great.
Rough game.
The outside of FromSoft though, I do think Lies of P would be sick. Lies of P is amazing. I think you guys would really dig Lies of P. And that's also a very pretty game. So if people want to see pretty, Lies of P is definitely one I would put on there. Another one though, we could go further afield of Souls-likes, and we could just lean in hard on the hard game. So this is the thing, like there are the two Neo games we could play, but there's also I think we need to still do a challenging game, right? Something hard.
I don't know how difficult Neo is.
Neo is very hard, but it's no harder than Bloodborne or
So it's of a league with the
some
Souls
people
games.
will say that it's harder. I have played both of them. I think in some ways they are harder. But I don't think that they're harder than Sekiro. I don't think that they're harder than Lies of P. It's a different play style a little bit. But, if you can play these games, you'll be fine in Neo. Those are options. But we could also, it doesn't have to be a Souls-like as long as it's hard. Celeste can be balls hard.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do something colorful and fun, but also really challenging, Celeste is one that would be fun. Nate, have you actually played Hyper Light Drifter? Whoa!
Yes, I'm on the last boss of Hyper Light Drifter.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But I stopped playing for reasons, and now I'm not good enough to fucking beat him out of the gate, like beat him cold. And there's no other bosses to like get good on, so
it's an amazing game. I think it would be great if we could play that somewhere on the channel at some point. But
I'd do it again.
Most of it. It'd be great.
I want to play through all of. Personally, I want to beat all of Solar Ash. I have not played Solar Ash yet. I want to get through all the Heart Machine games, regardless of the genre.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
I'm still Breaker is the only other thing I've really been playing in between.
Huge. This has got to be the biggest fucking hand of the game, right?
Breaker's real hard.
Breaker's hard. Breaker is also in a state right now where once you've beaten like a run, you've kind of done it. But I will say I'm really enjoying trying out the different weapons. It's a fun like playground, I think, but I don't. Yeah, we probably wouldn't be able to do more than a couple streams unless we just do it as the default thing.
Yeah. So I think Bloodborne is on the list. I think Celeste should be on the list. I think Liza P should be on the list.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Celeste.
Yeah.
I think. But beyond that, we've also talked about if you want to take a break from the Souls-likes, I think you can do the Shadow of War and Shadow of.
Shadow of Mordor. Yeah,
I do have Blasphemous. That'd be fun. I still need to beat. I'm in the same position Blasphemous where Nate is in Hyper Light.
Okay.
Oh man, Nate. I mean, geez, if we want to get into that realm, we could do fucking Hollow Knight. We could do.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Hollow Knight, man. Hollow Knight might be worse than Melania at some parts. I swear.
Yeah,
some of those fucking
diabolically tough. Yeah. There's a few in that genre we could do. I think we kind of we need to get the flavor of what you want to do. I will tell you, I would play, except that by the time we get here on Wednesday nights, I have about -4% gasoline left in the tank after work. So that will have to change before I'll be able to actually play games again. But it's not to say that I never will. I would like to, but I do want Nate to complete his FromSoft journey at some point. I do want you to play Bloodborne. I think Bloodborne is the only other one that you must play.
I think that is certainly on the must play list.
Required reading. Yeah.
I will probably play that alongside stream also, just because I have not played it. I have access to it again, and I want to. It would be fun to like learn that stuff like in step or in tandem.
Yeah,
I think that'd be kind of fun, just so I can be like, oh, I see. This is how someone else is playing.
Yeah. See what different builds there are.
Same game.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'd say let's take a couple weeks to think on it and like really give it, because I'll be honest, like I know this has been on our to-do list, but I've only been solely focused on beating Radahn.
Yeah.
And like experimenting.
You have earned yourself a breather.
Yeah.
You've earned yourself a breather.
And plus, like, it's probably good for the channel if we play the new hotness in the whole, in like the, the gaming community, and let, maybe I do let the Wednesday slot for the next couple weeks be Monster Hunter, because everyone's going to want to watch it anyway.
Everyone's going to want. People have been asking about it, man. They're like, "What?
Yeah,
you guys?
Are you going to do it? You're going to do it?" And like, yeah. So we can do it Monday. I can even give a couple Wednesdays up and do that too, because like, fuck, I want to play it. So maybe we'll give that, and then while that's happening, I will give this a think on what we want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And look into what what might be next on the list, because
I'll do some more thinking too. I think there's probably more stuff on the list we would be interested in too.
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
All
right.
Okay.
Well, awesome, guys. This was this was stressful, but like good outcome.
Amazing, man. Radahn and Melania in one stream.
In the same
back to back. Yeah, that I'm actually kind of proud of to do Millennia in
fucking
one.
Pro gamer, baby.
I will acknowledge that I'm probably over leveled, but
you're definitely over leveled. But no, that was still an impressive fight, no doubt.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because I almost didn't make it.
No, I mean it was a competitive.
And had I died,
fight,
I would not have done it again.
Yeah, it was competitive.
Yeah.
So well done, man. Good stream.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good job.
Okay, well, then if that's the case, we'll call it here tonight. Oh my gosh, we're at I started later, but this is still ending earlier than the last two.
First time
streams.
in 3 weeks.
God, interesting. Okay, so it's technically really just
the time off.
Absolute value is going to be still shorter than normal, but whatever. Life happens, and I'm happy where we are right now.
Yeah, you've earned the time back.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us, either now or in the future. I hope you enjoyed the Saga of Radahn, the trilogy.
Yes. If
Of,
you have watched, for anyone watching now or in the future, if you manage to watch all of our Elden Ring videos from start to finish,
Wait,
I mean,
well done.
movie's over. Go home.
yeah,
go home.
You're still here.
Great
It's over.
reference. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be back with a new game, a new quest, maybe same
Nude
bat.
quest. It'll be a
nude
quest. No
quest.
clothes.
Yep.
But
Let me solo the
thank
game.
you so much for hanging out. Yeah, we're glad to have you in the chat.
Oh.
And also thank you
Yeah,
for
and everybody else.
hanging out and like the clap when I finished it. I saw that. I just forgot to acknowledge it. But anyway,
That's great. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sticking with us, for sure.
We'll see you with the next saga, and maybe same bat player, maybe new bat player, but same.
And there
bat
will
place.
there's so much more to do. There's so much more to come, guys. So
Yeah.
come back to this space. More suffering
Yeah.
to come.
All right, y'all. Catch you in, for this, in maybe 2 weeks or so, maybe 3.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.